workers, probably about 2,000 that are deployed, trying to get into the buildings, trying to
hunker down and live in bunkers. We will not, I predict, but I think we can do a lot more. I'm waiting the briefing as to see if there was any inkling, any warning whatsoever. If not, then this was a heck of a well-executed, dastardly deed today. And I'm afraid it'll be more.
people.
That's the other question I was going to ask you in that partial briefing. Did you get any assurance that the worst seems to be over?
No, they wouldn't say that. They would, because this is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.
Is the president going to have to stay out of Washington for 24 hours?
I don't know that. I'll leave that up to him. He will be advised by the people who give him security warnings and so forth. But I think sooner or later the president will come to the Capitol. He should come to the Capitol and reassure the American people. But that will be up to him, Tom.
All right, Senator Richard Shelby, Vice Chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, thank you very much for being with us today. We'd like to be able to talk with you again if we can after that 4 o'clock briefing. I know you can't give away details, but if we can invite you back, Senator, we'd like to do that. Let's go to NBC's Campbell Brown now, who is covering the White House from outside.
Shortly, and fortunately, a large number of those offices had already been evacuated. Now, there are confirmed dead, many injured. We don't know the exact number yet. And
I think that's true, Randall. I mean, when you look at the faces of the people...
Mika Brzezinski, live, reporting from Lower Manhattan, although the picture you're seeing at this particular moment is videotape of the collapse of the World Trade Centers. Yes, both of the 110 stories World Trade Centers have collapsed. All U.S. security markets have closed. A conference call is scheduled tonight to decide whether to reopen tomorrow. Bellevue Hospital medical director, quote, "This is a catastrophe of unparalleled proportions," unquote. And the reason it is a result of what you're seeing on videotape. First, one of the World Trade Center towers collapsed. Yes, collapsed. It looks like one of those scenes of an old building being, purposely dynamited and blown up. In this case, hijacked airliners, two, both of them American Airlines planes apparently, were crashed, first one then another, in the World Trade Center. And then first one tower and then the other collapsed, completely collapsed, and buildings around them collapsed. People were seen jumping, being forced out of the building on high floors. People on the street gasped as each person saw him work diligently and build one for himself, thus by his example, assuring that his own shall be safe from violence when built. Yes, it's a long quote, but something to ponder on this day, when America has much to ponder, including the fact, and it is the fact, that we've been taught since we were school children that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Clearly our vigilance has not been what it could have, should have been in the days preceding this catastrophe today. And if you think the word catastrophe is an overstatement, then perhaps you'd want to rethink it. Because many, many people have died on this day. Some at the Pentagon, we hope a few, we don't know how many at the Pentagon when a plane crashed there. But the mayor of New York, police officials, everybody says when the death toll is finally counted from the total collapse of both of these towers of the World Trade Center, there will be a high loss of life. Some people are believed trapped in the remains as we speak, and operations are being mounted to try to get to them. You remember those scenes from Oklahoma. It was the case in Oklahoma City. Many heroic deeds this day, most of those deeds we do not yet know, but police, firemen, ordinary citizens.
Latest word from the mayor of New York and the governor of New York, George Pataki, and also Rudy Giuliani, the mayor. They're talking about
proper scene of the area around the Trade Center. People were evacuated
by 2 hijacked airplanes. There you're looking at the Pentagon, where another hijacked airplane
plan from pretty way to get to where they need to go, which at this point is probably home, is to walk. And this is a bridge in Manhattan. I'm not sure which one it is. It looks like the Brooklyn Bridge, but I'm not sure. It's the Manhattan Bridge. Thank you, Christopher. And they are walking across it.
On a day of remarkable images anyway, yet another remarkable image in New York City. We had some other pictures above the New York City skyline, which has changed dramatically, of course, with the demise of the World Trade Center towers there in Lower Manhattan.
Which are no longer there.
We will continue to show you those as the day progresses here. Bonnie Barron is back with more of the developments of the day as we get more bits of information here and there to try and put this story together.
And more remarkable personal stories about where we all were when this happened. Governor Pataki and Mayor Giuliani, of course, mentioning where they were when it happened, and our own Ron Insanis, we've seen him covered with dust on.
Yes.
We go to Atlanta and our colleague Joy Chin. Joy, good afternoon.
Aaron, extraordinary coverage there on the rooftops in New York of this extraordinary and horrific series of events that we have been watching throughout this day here on CNN. Acts of terrorism, and it's 8:45 this morning, that is Eastern time, when the World Trade Center, the workday was well underway there in Lower Manhattan, an airliner crashing into one of the twin towers of the Trade Center. The people in New York, and then very quickly people all around the nation, watching just terrible horror as a thick black smoke billowed from the tower. But that, as it turned out, as it proved, was really just the beginning. 18 minutes later, just 18 minutes later, you see in the highlighted picture there on the right side, another very big commercial jumbo jet moving towards the other tower of the World Trade Center. And there you see again the explosion taking place on camera for all to see, quite apparently, quite specifically designed to do that. That was at 9:03 Eastern. Cameras were trained on the two twin centers. Of course, you know that the Trade Center was the target of a terror bombing back in 1993, which killed 6 people. The attack injured so many more, and it really does pale in comparison to what we are seeing today, although, as you just heard from the mayor of the city of New York, nobody wants to make a guess yet on what the final toll will be. In the middle of all of this, suddenly Washington became the target. You see it here. This is the Pentagon, which we always view as some sort of an impenetrable fortress. Pentagon, the symbol of the nation's military might, also command post today. Pentagon racked by the explosion that occurred at 9:45 this morning. Witnesses say that the commercial aircraft crashed into the Army side of the building. That has been confirmed by authorities. As about this time, the federal government ordered all the nation's airports closed and ordered all planes in the air to get on the ground. As you just heard from Aaron Brown, aircraft will not head to 10 o'clock Eastern. The first of the two Trade Center towers collapses, and you see the tremendous plume of smoke and debris left. This is an image that we cannot forget. That was the visual sighting, and you see really just almost an explosion, an implosion, as it just gave away all that was left, the ash falling from the top of the tower as it came down. 21 minutes later, the second Trade Center tower collapsing. We can report that we know some 50,000 people work daily in the area of the Trade Center buildings. These towers are U.S. landmarks. They receive tens of thousands of visitors each day. The mayor of New York City has said that he does believe a horrendous number of lives has been lost in the course of this tragedy, but he did not want to wager any sort of speculation on what the final toll would be. At least one witness told us that in the moments before the buildings collapsed, he saw people leaping to try to save their own lives from the Trade Center towers. Back in Washington, to get a closer look at what occurred at the Pentagon, what was left, the great flames in the gaping hole of the Pentagon, apparently left by that hijacked plane that crashed into the Department of Defense.
Completely in one side and out the other.
It just disappeared.
I thought it was more on the
like a bad special effect. It disappeared right into the building. I've seen it 6, 7 times now. It's still incomprehensible what is actually happening there. You're right. As a journalist, you have to take yourself away from it, and I'm still not there yet. And the more and more I see it, and as time goes by.
The modern technology enables us to see horror just as we are able to see sport in a variety of different speeds, or at a variety of different speeds. And I think you now have a better appreciation than we have had up until now, for which we thank you, Evan, because